Hello, hello, and welcome to the Carla's Decades of Decor. So today we are going on a little adventure, and we took a road trip up the street, and we have stopped at a local museum for their Christmas holiday open house. But it's not going to be how you think. Now, I am ready for the museum, so come on along with me because you are in for a surprise, a wonderful Christmas holiday season treat. All right, so this is where we're heading into. This is the homestead of Charles Burchfield. He's a well-known artist here in America and is in the top 10. The Burchfield Museum, 867 4th Street in Salem, Ohio. Now, they're also going to have open house till the end of the year, and they also do tours by special appointment. So inside the door is a welcome to the Burchfield Christmas open house. And first, we are going to head up this beautiful staircase. So, Charles Burchfield was born in 1893 in Ashtabula Harbor, which is at the tip, the northwest area of Ohio by Lake Erie. When he was around the age of 5, his father died, and his mother wound up moving the family back to her hometown, Salem, Ohio. Now, at this museum for the holidays, you see Charles Burchfield was a well-known painter, and they decorate trees to some of his paintings. This is one of them, and it is called The Golden Dream. This picture sold a few years ago for, I forget if it was like $3 million. So, Charles's mother, this is one of the sketches that he drew of his mother, Alice Murphy. She lived from 1860 to 1933 and was raised in Salem, graduated from Salem High School in 1878. She was a school teacher when she met a tailor named William Charles Burchfield. They married in 1881. Their children were James, Francis, Louise, Joseph, Charles, and Fred. Charles called his mom a genius in one of his journals. And by the way, we are so very lucky because Mr. Burchfield left over 50 years worth of journals talking about how he would think about things, getting his paintings ready. And he also did a lot of symbols to put into his paintings to reveal certain things or feelings that he had at the time. And here is a picture of Charles's mother's high school graduation in 1878. Here's a picture of Charles's mother and father as they were courting before marriage. This is one of the painter's capes that Charles used to use. Now, he was the first to paint sound and motion in his paintings, and this is where it all began in the room he grew up in. When he was a young boy still, I forget if he was between like 10 and 13, he wound up getting really, really sick and had to stay inside where a skylight was put in for him. And this is the room he began his drawings in. Here's one of the trees. Oh, they did a little bit of painted wood on the ornaments. Wow, that looks just like his painting. As you can see. Now, one of the other things that Charles Burchfield did was he expanded his paintings over time. So, if you can imagine this tree as a pencil tree, a painting was done, and say in 1918 or 1919, and then in the 1940s or 50s, he wound up adding paper to the painting to put in more scenery, which was kind of hard to do. Wow, this came out beautiful. He was known for painting a lot of nature, trees. He would go around Salem, Ohio to different areas and paint what he saw and what he felt. Oh, here's some more of sketches that he did. Let's see. He really wasn't known for drawing figures. And here he is during World War I. In July of 1918, he was called to the service and sent to South Carolina. He never did go overseas during the war, and actually during his whole lifetime, he never left America. But he became known for painting camouflage. The camouflage department. He later wound up going to school in Cleveland. Oh, wow. How beautiful. A lanternfly, spotted lanternfly. Insect fantasy is what this tree is representing. And Charles Burchfield's drawing was insect fantasy. And then look how gorgeous this pink one is. This is called The Afterglow, from a painting called The Afterglow that Mr. Burchfield did in 1916. And this is at the Burchfield Penny Arts Center, which is in Buffalo, New York. I'll get to that a little bit later. It says, by late summer, I abandoned the pre-painting pencil work and the pointed detail brushes for sable bright, almost square oil brushes, which allowed a more robust stroke similar to oil on canvas technique, which I called the 1917 manner, even though it was in full swing in 1916. Now, the Burchfield Homestead is where Charles did a majority of his life's work. So after graduating college, Charles eventually wound up back in his hometown of Salem, and he wound up meeting a local woman named Bertha Kenry, whom he later married, and they moved to New York State, and he started a family. So he couldn't survive on only his paintings, and he wound up starting work at a local wallpaper factory. This was the second period of his time in his paintings. So speaking of Cleveland, the Cleveland connection, he went to the School of Art from 1912 to 1916. And during his second period, it was more industrial or scenery work. And so to help commemorate that, there's a train display upstairs this year. Now, one neat thing about coming to the Salem Homestead Museum, again, because Charles started painting from right here in this house, you can see one of his paintings, and then you can look outside at the houses that he painted and the scenery, which is really neat. The first time that I was ever here, there was a painting in the living room with a row of houses, and I said to the curator, "Wow, that looks so familiar." And she said, "Think of your social studies book." And I said, I said, "Oh," she goes, "it was in your social studies book." And it was at the time. I don't know why I remember that picture. Now this tree is done after Charles's drawing Rainy Day from 1935. The rain is falling down on the tree, as you can see, and this is how it was interpreted. Now, when Charles and Bertha moved up to New York, and he was working at the wallpaper factory, actually, he wound up becoming a designer, and his designs were very well known in many households across America. Oh, this was his brother Joseph.
I know. But did your family like you when she made?
Oh, yes, very much so.
As an adult, Burchfield frequently would jot down random memories of his first Salem years. He recalled his neighbor in the house next door, a Mrs. Coots, running out at the whistle blowing for the victory of Manila, which was on May 1st of 1898. He recalled his brothers and sisters sitting on a front stoop making up ghost stories. Brother Joe had heard that a man who lived in this house had hung himself upstairs and that a ghost haunted the place. Their mother declared it was all nonsense, but we like to pretend it's so. Living in a haunted house was a great privilege, Charles wrote. Mr. Rummel, who painted pictures, lived across the street in the house with the pyramid roof. He may have been the first artist of which Charles was aware. However, Charles had a clear memory of his little playmate, Mr. Rummel's daughter, Esther. Charles wrote, "Esther Rummel playing hide and seek as we crouched behind a bed of 4 o'clocks. She turned to me impulsively and said, 'Gee, I like you, Charlie.' Did I rise to the occasion and come back with, 'Gee, I like you too?' Alas, I did not. Immeasurably pleased and flattered, though I was merely looking at her stupidly and replied, 'Why?' Somewhat abashed, she elaborated lamely, 'Oh, because you always know such good places to hide.' Perhaps that fond memory explains the many paintings he did depicting Esther's house." And let's see what's in this room. Oh, The painter tree. It's got a set of paintbrushes, paints, pencils, things that Mr. Burchfield would have needed to work. This is the street vista in the winter, painted from 1957 to 1960. Charles liked to paint the various seasons. He even did one painting which incorporated all 4 seasons in one. Now, that was one of the pictures that, as I mentioned before, he started out and then would expand and add on to. And it was known as the 4 seasons. This tree is the Arctic owl and winter moon. In 1960 it was done. This is at the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, Mr. Burchfield, the majority of his paintings and his journals are up at the Burchfield Penny Museum in New York, but various museums around the country also have some of his work that he's done over the years. Again, he passed in 1967. So again, in 1893, Charles was born. He graduated high school as Victorian in 1911. He graduated the Cleveland School of Art in 1916, came back to Salem, wound up marrying Bertha Kenry. Also, he was the first to have a solo show at the Museum of Art right after it opened. So here is the living room. I smell some pine. So when the Burchfield family moved into this house in 1898, it was smaller, but by 1910, the 4 older siblings helped to enlarge the house, and they added this front parlor and hall and the 2 bedrooms that are above. And here they are working on the house. So here's some pictures of Burchfield as he was growing up with his family members, his siblings playing around on May Day. And I'm saving a little treat for last. This house, looking outside this window, is also in one of Mr. Burchfield's paintings as well. I can picture it with the lights on at nighttime, and you can kind of see a little shadow in the window of someone relaxing. Now, this tree here in the front parlor resembles a tree that the Burchfield family had decorated. It was found in, was it one of his drawings, one of his paintings? And so this tree stays up all year long, and it's a recreation of the Burchfield family tree. However, as you see, it's kind of hard to believe, but back in the day, before the electricity or before families had it, they would put candles on the tree and light them. I'm surprised so many more problems did not rise from that. So thank goodness for electricity nowadays. Isn't that beautiful? So let's head on into this room. Wow, isn't that beautiful? To think a Christmas tree could look like this. Absolutely gorgeous. And again, this is done to one of Charlie Burchfield's paintings.
So that's his big joke. He's like, oh, the chicken boy's back. And everybody gets so excited.
Oh, I take that back. This is to some of the wallpaper that he made circa 1925. And this is at the Burchfield Penny Art Center in New York.
But it's a strategic plan.
Okay, so I'm going to take you into the last room. This was done by the Girl Scout Troop 80774, and they decorated the tree to Charles Burchfield's painting, August Noon, done in 1917. And as you can see, they had a little crafting party before and got everything ready that they wanted to use to decorate the tree. They even have a little pine cone star at the top. And then this final little group here was interpreted to Charlie's painting High Noon that was done in 1915. And this is at the Burchfield Penny Art Center as well in Buffalo, New York. Let's see. Charles Burchfield often recalled childhood memories in his paintings. In his 1947 Christmas card to his brother Fred, he wrote, "Remember how our chimney used to catch on fire? We boys used to think it was wonderful. Remember the night you and Francis thought our house was on fire and nearly broke the side door down. Just call me Nostalgia Charlie." And it's signed by Bertha and Charlie. Here's some Christmas cards. And there's a Christmas card of the Night Wind that we're heading over to next. But first, I want to show you a few more of the Christmas cards. This is the little brick house the family moved into before coming here to the homestead. The tree in the front parlor room, that was how the Burchfield family decorated. Again, the Night Wind house was in many of his paintings. So I'm showing you some of his postcards. So here is some of the wallpaper that Charles Burchfield designed, and the curator is going to tell us more about it.
So this is a 1973 reproduction run of the original 1925 Burchfield design sunflowers wallpaper. And in 1973, it was reprinted. So we're actually selling sections of it. We have some samples, and this is a 24-inch sample. It frames up really nicely and is really bright and beautiful with the sunflowers.
And how much are they going for?
It's $75 for the 24-inch section.
Wow.
And other sizes are available as well.
Oh, wonderful. Boy, to have your own sample of the designs of one of the top 10 watercolor painters ever in the United States. I'll leave a number with the museum. I'll take a picture. So if anybody's interested, you can give a call and you can order your own part of Charles Burchfield and put up on your wall if you like. As I mentioned before, the bulk of Charles' paintings were done here in Salem, Ohio, And there is a Christmas bulb that actually, the bulb itself lights up pretty cool. And it's depicting Main Street in Salem on a winter day. It was painted in 1917 by Charles Burchfield. Now, if you could see a little bit closer, you can see the rain blowing. Again, he was the first to do motion and sound, and you can feel the cold winter day. Now, these are on sale too, and they are $25 a piece. Wow, that is gorgeous. I also want to show you a limited edition that the Homestead Museum has. They were done in 1984, so they are vintage. It shows the Salem Historical Society on it. Oh, and it does have the ear. And this is Charles Burchfield. And let me turn this just a little bit and move the camera over so you can see it. But there is Charles Burchfield's homestead where we are in currently. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the tour, and we are now going to go next door to a little building with a big chimney called the Night Wind. And this was done in many of Charlie's paintings, and you'll know exactly what I mean if you're familiar with his work. And if not, let's go over and show you, but stay tuned till the end because I have a wonderful surprise that they found here in the home as they were getting it ready to turn into the museum after acquiring it. Stay tuned, but first, let's go to the Night Wind. Okay, so the Burchfield Museum Society wound up acquiring the house next door, the Night Wind, and you can see what I mean. What a big chimney for such a short house. And they have craft classes over there now, so we're gonna head inside to the Night Wind. All right, so we are going to head into the front door of the Night Wind house. So here's some of the ornaments that were made specifically for here, and they depict some of the paintings that Charlie did. I do have one at home I got maybe the second time I was out here that I hang up on my tree. It's to the one with the butterflies in the second room I think I took you to. So they're all decorated for the holidays too. Okay, so there's people in right now, and I'm trying not to get them on camera, but it's just a long, narrow little home, and I'm going to take you to the center to show you the chimney. Alrighty, so here is the inside look at the chimney. That's part of Night Wind. It's been the subject of many of Charlie's paintings. Okay, so we just left the Night Wind house and we're heading back into the front parlor. And when this house was purchased and it was getting ready to turn into a museum to show Charles's work, this is what was found behind some of the wallpaper. This is a picture of his sister Louise. See, if you have children, I don't know, you have to, well, of course you don't want them drawing on the walls, but look at what became of the little boy who drew on the living room walls. And finally, here's some more doodling. So obviously, the society saved this, but wasn't that a wonderful find? See, walls can talk. Oh, Salem, Ohio, Fred Burchfield. Salem, Ohio, June 2nd of 1910. I don't know if these were some of his siblings. Oh, here we go, hidden history. In June 1910, this then new plaster wall was being prepared for wallpaper by a neighbor who was going to do the work. The youngest brother, Fred, was 13. They took the opportunity to get even with their siblings who were kidding him about his freckles. His pencil cartoons made a game of guessing how many dinkies older brother Joe had. Brother Charles was then 17, viewed the handiwork, and wrote, "Bottom right, very beautiful, wouldn't have thought it of you." On the west wall, Charles may have drawn the image of his older sister Louise with her detachable hair. The artwork was rediscovered in 1993 under the many layers of wallpaper. Sorry if there's a glare. Let me get a little bit closer. Oh, so this was done by Fred, not Charles. Uh-oh. Looks like somebody had the measles. Oh, and somebody has a big long nose. So, thank you everyone for sharing this tour with me of Charles Burchfield's homestead here in Salem, Ohio. I hope you had a great time, and head on over to the Burchfield Penny Museum also in New York to see more of his work. And to take a better look at the paintings, you can come on down to the Homestead House here in Salem or arrange for tours, which they will do. I'm going to leave the address and the phone number at the end of the video. So, everybody, have yourselves a wonderful Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, and thanks for coming to the Burchfield Homestead in Salem. So here's the information for the trains and trees at the Burchfield Homestead. There's also a phone number to call if you would like to come see the museum by appointment or get a tour together. And I'm going to take a picture or show you this too, visiting the Burchfield Homestead. So come on down to the museum and share some of our American history.